It is thought that this sport originated during a siesta. Enrique Corcuera, a businessman from Acapulco, Mexico, would snooze at his parents' house every afternoon because of the extreme heat there. Meanwhile, Viviana, his daughter, would annoy him by bouncing tennis balls against the house's walls. As a result, Corcuera constructed another wall for her to knock against. From that point, his improvised racket sport started to take shape. Corcuera built additional walls with metal fencing to stop the ball from fleeing down the side of the wall. He then attached a net across the middle of the space to finish off the enclosure. Originally intended as a pastime for one family in Mexico, padel has developed into a well-liked racket sport that combines aspects of squash and tennis. Padel has 25 million players worldwide in more than 90 countries now, more than 50 years after it first appeared. One of them is Andy Murray, a three-time Grand Slam tennis winner who first became interested in the sport when a teenager practicing in Spain. Padel is often played in a doubles style, unlike tennis, despite the fact that both sports employ the same scoring system. Every serve is underhanded, and following a return, strokes may be played on the volley, after a single bounce, or after a wall rebound. On their side of the net, players can also knock shots into the side and back walls that line the 20-meter-long, 10-meter-wide court. Padel rackets vary from tennis, squash, badminton, and pickleball rackets, in that they are smaller, thicker, and squarer than tennis rackets, and the striking surface is completely comprised of carbon fiber or fiberglass. Padel has been more popular in various areas of the world, notably in Europe and South America, and is comparable to pickleball, which has had a recent boom in popularity in the US, and earned the label of America's unofficial epidemic sport. For instance, it's thought that over 15,000 new padel courts were registered throughout Europe last year. Padel is now the second most popular participation sport in Spain, behind football, with more than 6 million active players, and more than 20,000 courts. According to Murray, I think it's going to keep becoming larger and bigger. I believe there will be an increase in demand for it, and tennis clubs will continue to want to develop courts. It is definitely enormous in Spain. I am aware that one of my former instructors, Jonas Bjorkman, who was ranked number 1 in doubles and number 4 in singles, is always competing. He has established many centers throughout Sweden. I occasionally played doubles on the tour with Feliciano Lopez. He performs frequently. Murray, who won his 3 Grand Slam singles championships between 2012 and 2016 at Wimbledon and the US Open, is confident in the sport's future, and has invested in GAME4 Padel, the UK's top supplier of padel courts. He is one of the company's celebrity investors and ambassadors, along with his brother Jamie, a former world number 1 in the men's doubles rankings, Liverpool, and the Netherlands football teams. According to Murray, it was a chance to invest in a sport he likes to play. It's one of the world's fastest growing sports. It's going to continue to grow, in my opinion. Clubs will likely continue to desire to construct courts, and the market will grow. Padel is low impact and low intensity compared to other racket sports. This, along with the pleasant pock sound made when striking the ball, has helped to increase its appeal. Padel is played on a court that is 1/3 the size of a tennis court. Although there is a developing professional circuit for padel in the World Padel Tour, the sport's popularity is now best seen among amateur players. Could it perhaps rival tennis in terms of worldwide acclaim? As for the sheer number of players, Jamie Murray says, I believe it certainly could for recreational purposes, simply from what I've seen in places like Spain, Italy, and France, for example. In a professional sense, I'm not sure. It probably takes tennis a long time to catch up to that since there is so much tradition, history, and other stuff spread among so many major tournaments. The Murray brothers are not just avid gamers, but also investors in the game. If only they could put their sibling rivalry aside, you'd think they'd make a good team on the padel court. When we were in Australia earlier this year for the Australian Open, we played a couple times, according to Andy. They have a few courts there, and I handled him rather well, so I don't think I've lost to him yet. Jamie has a different response when asked who of his brothers is a better player. He asserts, I believe it has to be me.